Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. Shang Chi's a movie that we haven't spoken about for a New York minute, isn't it? Let's get back into it, shall we? Shang Chi, the absolute triumph of a Marvel movie which released last Thursday night, is just about to enter its second box office weekend. Now, eyes, of course, are on it to see how well it's going to perform. And we're going to have a look at its performance later on in the video. And it is a little bit worrying in certain segments. And it's going to be affected by the news that we're going to discuss today as well. Now, the box office drop-off is predicting that it's going to have a good weekend at the box office, with it only falling by approximately 47%. If this is actually the case, that's going to bode very well indeed. However, it's not being supported by its international market. And let's go into that. So this is an article from Bounding Into Comics from John F. Trent, a good friend of the channel and of course, Friday Night Tights. Shang-Chi unlikely to get Chinese release after Simu Liu's comments about communist China resurface. Marvel Studios is unlikely to get a Chinese box office release for their latest Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Sonic the Hedgehog rings after the film's actor, Simu Liu, saw his comments about communist China resurface. The reason being is Simu Liu's comments about China in an interview he did with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation in 2017. As Taiwan News reports, the Weibo, which is their Twitter account, of the Chinese national organization DIBA, posted screenshots from a CBC interview of the actor from the series What's Your Story, released on March 3rd, 2017. The screenshots show Liu describing the China his parents lived in as third world. Here we see the images. They lived in a third world where you have people dying of starvation. Now, I'm not saying he's right and wrong. There are massive issues with China, but of course, it's a communist country. We know that they, when it came to the Disney movies, and Disney owns Marvel, of course, so that's why I'm bringing them into this conversation, diminished Finn, John Boyega's character in The Force Awakens on the poster because simply he was a black man. Same when it came to Black Panther. Instead of having Chadwick Boseman's face, which was the one which was generally released, they actually had to put the mask on Chadwick Boseman, again, to diminish the appearance of a black man on a poster. Pretty disgusting stuff. And we even had Marvel thank China for allowing filming in an area that has, let's just say, multiple camps with which you can sit and concentrate in for a significant amount of time. And I think that list is now up to around 380 of said holiday vacations, not so much. So there's a huge issue when it comes to that marketplace. But because it's so vast, then, of course, companies like Marvel, Activision, all the great moral companies, of course, are trying to even forsake Western audiences to tap into that market. Now then, the reason why it's going to be difficult or unlikely to now establish a Chinese release is there is already no Chinese date for this movie to come out. And Black Widow didn't get one granted to it. Why? Well, let's jump to another article here. And this is taken from Variety going way back to May of this year. Marvel Shang-Chi Eternals, and again, I'll just stress Black Widow, which also did not get one, may face uphill battle to enter China. Now, that isn't the former WWE women's wrestler adult movie. Don't worry about it. Let's just go down to this paragraph here. And the reason why is the director of the Eternals movie, Chloe Zhao, the odds are already most clearly stacked against the Eternals due to Zhao's position as an unexpected person non grata in China. A ban on Eternals would be shocking but not implausible, given the recent nationalist backlash that led to Zhao's name and achievements being wiped from much of the Chinese web. Now, this is due to comments that she actually said about the country. Now, we already know Black Widow, again, I will stress one more time, did not get granted a Chinese release. Shang Chi has not been granted a Chinese release, nor as the making of this video has the Eternals either. We already have Black Widow coming out on Blu-ray, 4K. I think it's actually available now to do that. Certainly to pre-order for an imminent release. But they also took exception with Simu Liu as the lead character of this movie as well, saying that it wasn't a great representation for their country. And China knows, one thing that China does know is when people are attempting to pander to them. So it doesn't really work out particularly well. Now, as regards to how that's going to affect Shang-Chi, well, of course, you may be aware there has been a massive explosion a few days ago about how Shang-Chi is it's just a triumph, an absolute triumph at the box office. It's a smash. It's breaking all kinds of records because of the Labor Day weekend, yada, 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 yada. Now that that's simmered down a bit, let's just actually see how things are truly getting on. Well, if you look at the domestic box office, it's taken 106 million up until the end of Wednesday, okay? Thursday's numbers aren't quite in yet. They're due, let's just say, within the next few hours or so. Quick little checky poo down at the bottom. No, not quite in yet. But look at this international box office. Only 56 million. Now, that is really going to slow now, the international marketplace. It's not going to have an explosion. That would be very, very unlikely indeed. And when it's not being supported by a Chinese release, of course, that's going to have a detrimental effect on the bottom line. Now, the people are predicting, the predictors are predicting that Shang-Chi is only going to have a 47% drop-off rate this weekend at the domestic box office. If that is the case, then it's going to perform very well indeed. But again, once you've gone through the second box office weekend, you are just delving into the law of diminishing returns. And so it's going to be very difficult to maintain momentum. Yes, it will carry on for a wee bit. It's got a 45-day cinema exclusive at the moment, but it's still going to be the law of diminishing returns, and it will be reliant simply on those weekend releases to add to the coffers. Now, because I myself lowballed the box office weekend for Shang-Chi, I have decided to make an amends for that, okay? Now, you know, I had people saying, you need to apologize. You need to apologize for getting that prediction of the box office wrong. Well, that ain't going to happen. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to make a prediction for this weekend. 47% drop-off rate? Get out of here. You're a hater. You're a hater. I predict that Shang-Chi will only have a 40% drop-off rate at the box office. And this weekend is going to be a mitigated success for the movie. And if I am wrong, then I will issue an apology for that. But you can see already on the gradient, the predictive curve, the projected curve is now always back on track. So it's actually gone with after its explosion with its actual prediction. Did a little bit better, but dropped off quicker than expected during the week. It was expected to do much better than it has been performing on the Tuesday and Wednesday, which dropped down to 6.6, I think, and $4.4 million respectively. So without an international box office to really support this, really pad this one out, I'm not saying that Shang-Chi's in trouble by any stretch, but let's just say it's now facing an uphill battle which will, of course, be compensated by the absolutely staggering domestic box office, which is going to storm its way through. Okay, so there we go, folks. This does seem to be a little bit of bad news as regards to Marvel Universe, though, and their release, because we're now most likely, highly likely, not going to see the Eternals at the Chinese box office either. So once again, it's going to be reliant on domestic and international sans China. Okay, hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and YouTube for live streaming links. They are in the description box down below, and I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.